All right, so we are starting chapter 11 and we are going to look at area and circumference. So before we even get started on this particular section, we are going to quickly review finding circumference and area. So circumference is 2 pi r or pi d, where r is your radius, d is your diameter. So if you have a circle, and let's say that the radius is 4, then you simply replace the r with 4. Circumference is 2 pi 4, or 8 pi, 2 times 4 is 8, which is 8 pi is 25.13. Now, if you have a circle and the diameter is, let's say, 12, then you replace d with 12. So circumference is pi times 12, or 12 pi, which is 37.7. Okay, so now let's use those same circles. So we had one that was 4, and then we had a diameter that is 12. To find the area is pi r squared. So the area of this circle is pi 4 squared, or 16 pi. 4 squared is 16, which is 50.3. Now, if you know the diameter, then you're going to have to find the radius to be 6, because remember the radius is half of the diameter. So this would be pi r squared, or 36 pi, which is 113.1. Okay, so you have to know area and circumference to do today's lesson. All right, so we're going to find the length of the arc. So before, we were looking at the measure of the arc. So we knew the central angle, if this angle is 50, then the arc is 50. But what about the length of the arc? So if you could take the arc and make it straight and measure it on a ruler, we want to find the length. So this is going to be your length. Okay, this is still your radius. We're going to find the area of a sector. The sector is like a slice of pizza. So we're going to find the area of a slice of pizza, and then we're going to use that in real world problems. So the cool thing is it's straight proportions. So remember, when you have a proportion, so if you have A, B, C, D, you cross multiply. A times D, B times C. So when you're solving a proportion, and here is your proportion for the first part of our lesson. So to find the length of the arc, you're going to need the measure of the arc. You're going to need 360, because that's how many degrees are in the whole circle, in the circumference. So the way I always do this is arc over 360 is length over circumference. So as long as you stick with this proportion, as long as they're asking for arc length, then as long as you put the numbers where they go, everything will be okay. Okay? So make sure that you have this formula written down. So if I want to find the length of arc AC, so I want to know the length. How far is it if I'm standing at point A? How far do I have to walk to get to point C? So using the proportion, 360 always goes here, it never changes. The measure of the arc is 70 degrees. I'm looking for the length, and the circumference is pi d. Well, if my radius is 6 or is 3, then my diameter is 6. So this is going to be pi times 6, or 6 pi. And just leave it as 6 pi, and you can give me your decimal in the end. So you cross multiply 360 times L, and then cross multiply this way. So 70 times, and I'm just going to multiply by 6. So that would be 420 pi, and then divide by 360. I'm not using 3.14 right now. I'm just leaving the symbol there till I'm done. So 360 divided by 360, so L. So now my calculator, I'm going to type in 420 pi divided by 360. I get 3.7. And that's in inches because that's the unit they gave us. So there's your answer. So cross multiply and divide. So if I want the length of arc AB, so I want the length of this arc. So that arc is 60 degrees over 360 always. I'm looking for the length, and I need the circumference. So if my radius is 8, then my diameter is 16. So 16 pi. Cross multiply 360L, and then 60 times 16. So 960 pi. Now divide by 360, and you'll have your answer. So 960 pi divided by 360, 8.4. And that is centimeters, because that was our unit of measure this time. Make sure you pay attention to the actual arc they're asking you for. If it's got 2 letters, remember it's always minor. So that means your measure is going to be less than 180. So they're giving you this measure over here. So this is 240, which means this one has to be 120 because they have to add up to 360. They want the smaller arc because there's only 2 letters, so it has to be minor. So it has to be less than 180 degrees. So set up your proportion. So 120 divided by 360, the length of the arc, over 8 pi. Because if my radius is 4, then my diameter is 8. And circumference is pi d. 360 L, and then 120 times 8. So 960 pi. So divide by 360. The length is, and it's the exact same number, 8.4 meters. Now, I can give you any of this information. I can either give you the arc, I can give you the length, I can give you the circumference. Whatever I give you, you stick with that proportion and put the numbers in the right slot. So here they want me to find the circumference. So if you think about, this is always 360, this is the circumference. The length of the arc is in inches, so 4.19. The measure of the arc, since it's central, is always going to be the same as the central angle. So cross multiply 40C, and then 360 times 4.19, which is 08.4, and then divide by 40. Circumference is 37.71, and that is inches. So no matter what I give you, whether I give you the arc length or if I give you the circumference, if you put the numbers in the right spot in the formula, then it's all you do is cross multiply. So let's do this one more time. 360 always goes here. My radius is 15.28, and they want me to find the measure of this arc. So they want the measure of this arc right here. So this is what they're looking for. They're looking for the arc. The arc length is 44 because they're wanting this arc right here. The circumference is pi times the diameter. So pi times the diameter. So 15.28 times 2 is 30.56. All right, so we're going to cross multiply. So 30.56 pi is 96. So this is 96a. I went ahead and multiplied by pi this time. And then 360 times 44, which is 15,840. And then divide by 96. So every time you're just going to cross multiply and divide. So divided by 96 is 165. And that's in degrees this time because that was looking for the measure of the arc, which is in degrees. So that's all you have to do. Plug those numbers into that formula. Arc length, or measure of the arc in degrees, over 360, arc length over circumference. So if the curves at the end of a track are shown are 180 degrees arcs. So this is 180 degrees, this is 180 degrees. The radius of the arc for a runner on the red path, so the radius is 36.8. About how far does the runner travel to go one time around the track? So if you think about drawing the diameter of that semicircle, basically you have a semicircle and a semicircle. So we have a full circle, and then we have a rectangle. Okay, so what we're going to do is let's find the measure of the arc on the red path. So we know that that's 180 degrees. So 180 degrees over 360 is how far of the circumference? So 36.8. So we're going to cross multiply 360L. Then we're going to cross multiply this way. 180 times 36.8 pi. And we get 20809.9. And then divide by 360. So we get 57.8 meters. So the length of the curve, if you're starting here, by the time you run to the corresponding opposite side, you went 57.8. But that means it's the same on this side. So this is 57.8 also. And then the straights are 84.39. The straight is 84.39. So now add up all four parts. So the distance around the track is two curves at 57.8 plus two straights at 84.39. So 2 times 57.8 plus 2 times 84.39, and we get 284.4 meters. And they want us to round to the nearest tenth, so that's what we did. So 284.4 meters. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to find the area of that slice of pizza. So it's going to be shaded. Okay. You're going to almost use the exact same proportion. Still arc measure, still 360, but now you're looking for the area of the sector, and now you're going to use the area formula. So I label it like this: area or arc measure in degrees over 360 is the sector over the area. And remember, area is pi r squared. So if they're asking you for the area of a sector, make sure you're using the area formula. If they're asking for arc length, make sure you're using circumference. All right, so find the area of the shaded sector. So the shaded sector is this arc right here. So that's 140 over 360. The area of the shaded over pi r squared. Cross multiply 360s, cross multiply. So 140 times pi, parentheses 4 squared. So that would be 7037.2 and divide by 360. So 19.5. And that would be centimeters squared. So the area of the shaded part right here is 19.5. Now, if from this point to this point is 140 degrees, 360 minus 140 is 220. So this arc is 220. So now we're going to find the unshaded. So you're going to look for 220 over 360, sector over pi r squared. Cross multiply, cross multiply. 220 times 16 pi. 11058.4 divided by 360, 30.7. That is centimeters squared. Do not forget, when you're looking for area, your units will always be squared. Okay, looking at this circle here, this time they want me to find the area. So if this angle is 25, then this arc is also 25. So 25 degrees out of 360. They're telling you the area of the sector is 4.1, and they want you to find the area. Cross multiply, 25a, cross multiply, 360 times 4.1, so 1476. Divide by 25, 5904. So the area of the whole circle is 59.04 feet squared. So use those proportions, makes it super easy. All right, and the last part is when you're going to convert between radians and degrees. So remember when we were doing trig and I told you needed to make sure your calculator was in degree mode. So if you want to convert to radians, then you take your degree measure and you multiply by pi over 180. So if I give you degrees, 60 degrees times pi over 180. Well, if you put that over 1 and multiply straight across, you get 60 pi over 180. Reduce 60 will go into itself once, 60 will go into 180 3 times. So your answer is pi over 3. And do not use decimals. You have to use the pi symbol. Just leave it in your answer. So this would be radians. If I give you radians and want you to convert to degrees, then you multiply by the reciprocal, 180 over pi. So 5 pi over 6 times 180 over pi. So if we do, the pi's cancel out. 6 goes into itself once. 6 goes into 180 30 times. 5 times 130 is 150 degrees. So make sure that you have these written down while you're doing your homework. And that is all for this. I do want to go over one more piece. So if you just have a blank space somewhere, I'm going to show y'all how to find the measure of the crust on a slice of pizza. So if the center, I'm going to try to get this as accurate as I can. Okay, this is called finding the area of the sector. So that's finding the area of the crust. So let's say this is 50 degrees, and let's say this is 8. So the first thing you're going to have to do is find the area of the whole slice of pizza. So the whole slice of pizza is pi 8 squared. So cross multiply. So 50 times 64 pi, which is 10053.1, and then divide by 360. So 27.9. So the whole pizza is 27.9. Well, this is a triangle. So if we're going to find the area of said triangle, then we're going to do base times height. So let's see. Actually, I'm going to show y'all this formula using trig a little bit. So the area is A, B, sine C. So C is your central angle. Okay. A and B are these two sides here, which are both 8. So you're going to go 8 times 8 sine 50. And that will get you the area of the triangle. So 64, make sure you're in the degree mode on your calculator. So 64 sine 50, and it's 49. So the area of the triangle, so this is the area of the sector, this is the area of the triangle. So now, if you take the, something didn't work out. 64 sine C, area of the triangle. The triangle should be smaller than the sector. 10053. All right, let me see what I did wrong. Okay, I know what I did. I had to think about it for a second. We have to multiply by 1/2. So we're going to take half of 49. So half of 49 is 24.25. Or 24.5. Can't even read my calculator. All right, so if the area of the whole slice of pizza is 27.9 and you eat the triangle, so 24.5, then the crust is what's left. So 27.9 minus 24.5, which is 3.4. Okay, so I'm going to do one more with you. So we have a circle, and we have this arc here. So this is 110 degrees, and I want to find the measure of the crust. There's a lot of crust this time. And we'll say this is 12. So the first thing we're going to do is find the sector. So 110 over 360 is equal to the sector over pi r squared. Cross multiply. Cross multiply. 110 times 144 pi. 49762.8 divide by 360. So 138.2. So the whole thing is 138.2. Now the triangle is 1/2 AB sine C. So 1/2 these two sides, this is your A, this is your B, this is your central angle. So 12 times 12, sine 110. So 1/2 of 12 times 12. So 12 times 12 is 144. Half of 144 is 72. Sine 110. So 72 sine 110, 67.7. So there's the triangle. So your whole slice of pizza is 138. Let's try writing that one more time. So the whole slice of pizza is 138.2, and we're going to eat 67.7. We get 70.5. And that would be units squared, whatever units they were. So that is how much the crust is. So that is it on this lesson. And that is all you have to do for this week is 11.1 and 11.2.